Hi, I'm Neil Beck. I was a doctor in Perth, Western Australia for 53 years. First of all in hospitals, then for many years in the suburbs as a family doctor. We hadn't had a medical school till 1959, so we were short of doctors and specialists. So I did a lot of things that family doctors don't do today. I helped to bring 800 babies into the world. And did many tonsillectomies and appendicectomies and vasectomies and broken bones and all sorts of things. But we got a medical school, we got more doctors, and then my work was mainly consultations, home and hospital visits. I had 500,000 of those and saw a lot of different things. The conclusion I came to after seeing lots of people who were suffering was that the most important things in life, the 7 most important things in life, are mental health, good relationships including a happy family, high endorphins chemistry, which are the chemicals that make us feel good, and they also boost the immune system. So the immune system is very important because that fights infections, allergies, inflammation, autoimmune diseases and cancers. And the 6th thing was a good home, and the 7th thing was good employment. How many of those things have you got? And where do you need help? There were no perfect mothers, no perfect fathers, no perfect families, no perfect homes, no perfect schools. So most people started off life with a few problems, and then they often had other problems turned up in their life. And there was never enough mental health care for all the people who needed it. There were only 2 main mental health care tools, and they both had great weaknesses. One was medicines, and medicines had 2 weaknesses. First of all, many of the medicines were addictive. All the anxiety, worry medicines and the sleep medicines were addictive. And the 3 main medicines for ADD, ADHD were addictive. That's Ritalin, dexamphetamine and Adderall. And that created many problems. And secondly, the medicines were too slow. They were nearly all tablets or capsules. And when you swallow a tablet or a capsule, it takes half an hour to an hour to go right down your gut, start to get into your bloodstream, and start to get back up to your brain and help you with your mental health problems. Half an hour to an hour to start, and 1 to 2 hours before it's working strongly, and that's just too slow for many mental health distresses. And it's too slow when you are fighting craving for an addictive substance. The other main tool was talk therapy, counselling, psychotherapy, CBT, whatever you like to call it, but basically talking to the patient. And that had 2 problems. One is it was too slow. It took too long to find out by just talking, and often just talking to people you missed things. So it was too slow. And secondly, it was too costly, because to become a therapist you needed at least a 4-year psychology degree from a university, preferably a 5-year master's degree, or a 6 or 7-year PhD. And to become a psychiatrist took about 10 or 12 years. You had to do a 6-year general medical training, and then have at least a couple of years of general medical practice, and then 3, 4 or 5 years of postgraduate training in psychiatry. So those people were pretty smart, and they did a lot of training, during which time they didn't earn much, so they needed to be paid well, or nobody would do that and would be even shorter of mental health care. So there were only 2 tools and they were weak. And then there were 10 blind areas, areas where I felt that mental health care didn't really see what was really necessary and do what was really necessary. First of all, mental health, the most important thing in anyone's life, was not taught in school. Relationships, the second most important thing in anybody's life, were not taught in school. The second blind area was that mental health problems and addiction problems are nearly always family problems, but people were treated as if they were isolated, alone. They weren't isolated, alone. They were part of a faulty system that had caused them to have mental health disorders, and for some had become addicts. The third blind area was that mental health didn't seem to look for causes. People could be on antidepressants for 10 or 20 or 30 or 40 years without ever having any idea what caused their depression. And it's not always possible to find out what caused it, but the more you can find out and understand what caused you to be depressed, the weaker the depression will be. So finding and fixing causes in health is always very important, because it makes the treatment more effective, and if you fix the causes, or at least understand them, you're much less likely to relapse. The fourth blind area was mental health problems and addictions were not treated as emergencies, and they are emergencies. Mental health problems just get worse and worse and worse. Problems cause problems which cause problems, and addiction is fourth stage mental health disorder. Mental health and addictions must always be treated as emergencies and got to as fast as possible, because the earlier you get to them, the easier it is to know what they are. The problems are simpler and clearer, the causes are clearer, and it's easier to help people. If someone crashes after having had mental health problems for 10, 20 or 30 years, it's very hard to help them. It's very time consuming, and they usually don't get enough help. Another blind area was transgenerational trauma. What we didn't realize was that very often people's problems were aftershocks of tragedies and big bad things that happened to their parents or their grandparents or their great-grandparents. If there's an early death, a mother dies from tuberculosis when the child is only 2 or 3, or the father comes back from the war, or doesn't come back from the war, or comes back from the war wounded and very damaged mentally and physically. There's more focus on giving people a diagnosis than on finding causes and on telling them what they need. If you've got attention deficit disorder, ADD, ADHD, that's a problem. And it may be good to know the diagnosis, It may be a relief to know that what you've got is a known entity, which lots of people have, but what you really need to know is that you need to learn to focus and to concentrate better and to be less impulsive, to manage yourself better. People need to be clearly shown what they need to get better. And that didn't seem to be being done very often. And people were not being taught self-help. If there's never going to be enough helpers to help everybody who needs help, then they have to be taught to help themselves to some extent. Some people can't do that, but a lot of people can do self-help themselves to half the degree that they need, or a quarter, or at least some. And that means that the people who can't help themselves have more access to the helpers. So teaching people self-help is very important, and that seemed to be a blind area. Another blind area seemed to be focusing on who was to blame. Too much mental health was looking for who to blame, and this is unhelpful. It's because it's never ever only one person that's to blame. If a mother neglects her children, treats them badly, or a father is alcoholic, that's not where it started. It started further back. Problems in mental health and addiction are always one link in a chain of problems, in a chain of people, and blaming one person, looking for one person to blame, is just wrong. It's just not true. And also, the most important thing to find out when someone's got a mental health problem is exactly what happened, exactly why it happened, so what the cause was and how it can be fixed. But if people think you're going to blame them, they don't tell you the truth. They may not tell you anything, or they tell you something that's not actually what happened. And the 10th blind area was something that I really only learned about fairly recently, and that's the area of unhelpful family loyalty. Many people who are troubled and come from troubled families feel that to be loyal to their family they have to stay troubled. Some have the opposite reaction. If they've got a very troubled family, they do the opposite. I'm just reading a book for about the 5th time on Kerry Stokes, who's one of the greatest rags to riches stories in Australian history. Incredibly poor circumstances of parenting and early childhood, and a multi-billionaire who's done lots of wonderful things. But that's the exception. More often, someone doesn't want. Some people feel bad if they are happier or healthier or better than their poor mum or their poor dad or their poor grandparents, and they stay troubled, and that's a mistake. If you are in a troubled family, get better and help your family to get better, and all get better together. Do the Mental Fix-It app and watch the videos it recommends and get your family to do the same. But don't stay troubled as a form of unconscious loyalty to a troubled family. I believe that mental health is the world's greatest problem. That problem is not guns or atomic bombs, it's the people who pull the triggers. And what I believe that our greatest need is for better tools, to correct mental health problems. A long time ago there weren't many tools. We had a hammer and a saw and a brace and bit and a chisel. Now we have wonderful tools everywhere, in the kitchen, in the garden, in the garage, and incredible tools in the factories that make things. Tools everywhere, but not in mental health and addiction. So 22 years ago I started to make tools to help mental health. Now some of those tools help, but they weren't very good, so they've been superseded. But what my tools now are, first of all, a very brief website. I had a long website, but people wanted things faster, simpler. So my website then was mentalhealthvideos.a-to-z.com, and now the new website is smilefixit.com. And in smilefixit.com everything's on 2 pages, and there's links, and you tap to go to the areas where you need more detail, but you can see everything in 2 pages. The second tool is 83 under a minute videos. My original videos were long, and people used to watch them, but they don't anymore. Now they just watch TikTok under a minute videos. Even a minute's too long. To cover everything, I covered everything with 31 long videos, but to cover everything with under a minute videos, it took 83, and I've got about another 10 that I need to make to cover everything. But there's no faster, easier, better, lower cost way to understand your problems and start to fix them than to watch an under a minute video, the right under a minute videos for you, because of course the videos you need to watch with your particular problems might be quite different to the videos someone else needs to watch with their different problems. So if there are 83 videos, how do you know which videos to watch? Can't watch them all, so which ones should you watch? So that gave us our next tool, which is the Mental Fix-It app. It started out as a 20-question checklist, but checklists were a bit slow. They were a big help, but they were a bit slow and cumbersome, and people still had to come to the clinic to do them. But about 18 months ago I got lucky, because making apps is very expensive and a lot of work, and I couldn't possibly have afforded it, but I fortunately found a university student who could help me at a cost that I could afford, and we built the Mental Fix-It app, which you can tap your phone's App Store or Google Play icon and download the free Mental Fix-It app. It was originally a 10-minute app, but that was too long, so now it's a 4 or 5 minute app, and we are working on making it into a 2-minute app. And when you do the app, you tap your choice of answers to 19 questions in 4 or 5 minutes. You get an instant report, and the instant report tells you 4 things that are very helpful. First of all, it tells you which 6 of our 83 videos you can watch immediately for your particular problems that you've tapped when you did the app. So in 10 minutes you can go from total confusion to downloading the app, doing the 4 or 5 minute check, watching 600-minute videos in 6 minutes, and be miles ahead. And soon it'll be a 2-minute app. The fourth item was live streaming, which I'm doing now, and live streaming is something that's very popular. A lot of people to watch it would like to watch it, so I do live streaming 4 times a week, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday at 7 p.m. Perth time and 9 a.m. Sunday, because we now get more than half of our viewers from the Northern Hemisphere, and 7 p.m. Perth time is 7 a.m. New York time and 4 a.m. LA time and God knows what in London and Sweden and Norway. So I do the Sunday session in the morning, which is the evening and a more user-friendly time in the Northern Hemisphere. The fifth tool is powder medicines. Why powder medicines? It's because if you drop powder medicine on your tongue and suck it, don't swallow it, it starts to work in 5 minutes. Your tongue is red or pink because the blood vessels are so close to the surface, and if you sprinkle thousands of tiny grains of medicine on your tongue and suck it, it gets into those blood vessels and up to your brain starting in 5 minutes, which is much better. Soon you develop what's called taste conditioning, and as soon as you taste the medicine, it starts to work in seconds. And that's far better for relieving mental distresses and for cutting craving for addictive substances. The sixth tool is pocket powder medicine dispensers, because having the powder medicine in a jar with a little scoop was a bit cumbersome, sometimes a bit inaccurate, and you couldn't do it when you're driving. But so when we made these pocket powder medicine dispensers and put the powder medicine in, you can have it in your pocket, and anytime, anywhere, as soon as you start to get a problem, you can whiz it out and drop the powder on your tongue, and it starts to work in 5 minutes, and after a couple of weeks with taste conditioning, it starts to work in seconds, and that just makes things much better. The seventh tool is heartbeat meditation aid. Meditation is a great value to people with mental health and addiction problems, to anyone who is a bit stressed by their work. It just helps you to relax, calm down, feel better, your brain works better, and it's a very valuable habit. But it's a habit, and you get habits by doing them over and over and over again, and the people who would benefit most from meditation often can't learn to do that habit. They're too agitated, but it's much better if you have a shortened stethoscope and you listen to your heart, because your heart holds your attention, and when it's holding your attention, you can forget all your problems. The eighth tool is a bigger powder dispenser, but not medicine. We put fruit powder in this, and you can carry that in your pocket, and anywhere, anytime, you can whiz it out and have a lovely taste of fruit powder. My favourite's vanilla and chocolate. And taste, from the day we're born to the day we die, we put stuff in our mouth, or stuff is put in our mouth, and we like it to taste good. So taste is a very powerful thing for people, for humans, and if you are trying not to smoke, or not to drink alcohol, or not to have heroin, if you drop some lovely tasting powder on your tongue and focus on the taste and keep on dropping more doses and focusing on the taste, you can delay the thing that you're trying to stop. The ninth tool is phone treasure, and I started to do that, but I haven't finished it because the 10th tool grabbed me. So we'll do the phone treasure thing later. And what is the 10th tool? The 10th tool is called Mental Fix-It Scroll Plus. Mental Fix-It Scroll Plus. What I finally realized, which is hard for an old man, is that the younger people today want everything fast, and they love scrolling or swiping. Swipe, 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 scroll, scroll, scroll. TikTok only started in 2016, and today it has more than a billion visitors every month, and a lot of the people who are in those visitors just swipe, and they swipe X, and they swipe YouTube Shorts, and they swipe Instagram, and they swipe Facebook. So if we're serious about helping people with their mental health, we have to work the way that they function naturally, and that's swiping. So what I did was I over the years developed a list of 92 items, the mental health problems and solutions, and put them instead of writing a book, which is what I did 15 years ago. We just made what will be a website. It's not there yet, and it's got 92 items in it at present, probably be 100 before long, which are all the problems and the solutions that a troubled person should be able to find. And what you can do is they're in 10 groups. These items are in 10 groups, and you can swipe through the titles of a group, one group in a minute. So if you've got a minute, swipe through one group. If you've got 2 minutes, swipe through 2 groups. If you've got 3 minutes, swipe through 3 groups. Preferably you'll do the whole 10 groups in 10 minutes, but a lot of people don't have the focusing or concentration or time to do that. So we've got so much to do that it'll be a little bit while before we get to this, but we will get to it. And what we'll do is provide the Mental Fix-It Scroll Plus. So why the plus? Well, the plus is, long ago when I was a medical student, the books on health had 1,200 pages in. The medicine book, 1,200 pages. The surgery book, 1,000 pages. The gynecology book, obstetrics and gynecology book, 1,100 pages. The pathology book, 1,000 pages. So much detail that you miss things. And the advantage of scrolling is you can race through everything quickly and not miss anything. I sadly discovered one of the most important things in my family when I was in my 80s, which I should have known about in my 20s. Would have made so much difference, but too much detail. Well, scrolling eliminates the detail, so you cover everything and you don't miss anything. But you do need detail. But there's a lot of stuff you don't need detail about. You only need detail about the things that concern you. So the plus is detail, and the plus is micro videos 6 to 15-second videos and mini videos, under a minute videos, and images, photos. That so you scroll through however many groups you've got time to do, and every time you find something that's important, let's look at some of those. The second group is bad feelings are what usually trouble us most. The first item under bad feelings is understand and fix your bad feelings and develop more and more good feelings. And there's a 15-second video you can immediately tap. If that's of interest to you, just tap the 15-second video and watch it. You get immediate information. The second item is most persistent bad feelings are caused by 11 common, findable, fixable mental health disorders. If that's of importance to you, there's a 14-second video you can tap on and immediately get some information. The third item under bad feelings is we produce 25 feel-good happy chemicals in our brain, glands and gut that make us happy. And there's a 13-second video on that gives you immediate information. So the plus is immediate information, very short. And you just keep going until you've scrolled as much as you've got time for, and then you press the interesting button. And when you press the interesting button, it gives you a list of links to all the micro videos that you watched, so you can look at them and you can watch them again, because mental health's not that complicated, but it's not that simple either, so you have to watch things a few times. So, and then you may then decide that some of those things that you thought were interesting, not interesting, so you can delete them. But anything that you think is interesting, you can watch the micro video 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times as often as you need it. But it has a link to a 1-minute video, and that 1-minute video gives you quite a lot of information. It's amazing how much information you can get in a 1-minute video. And then later you can tap, instead of tapping interesting, you can tap very interesting. And very interesting gives you the links to all the videos you've watched 3 or more times, which presumably are the ones that are most important for you. And the videos give you information, understanding and solutions. And if you want, you can then do the Mental Fix It app, which tells you the 6 videos that will help you most for your mix or combination of problems, and that's very valuable. The Mental Fix It app instant report happens as soon as you've finished answering the last question. Tells you 4 things that are very helpful. First of all, the 6 under-a-minute videos that will help you most. Secondly, a complete list of the things that you have indicated are a problem, each of which is scored according to its importance and the severity that you've indicated. So you then know what all your problems are in descending order of importance. Because one of the problems about the slow talk therapy is it's so slow, you usually only get to the first 1 or 2 big problems, and you've got other smaller problems. They are smaller, but they're still problems, and you don't get completely better until everything is fixed, the big problems and the small problems. And sometimes the big problems are so big that you can't face them, so you start with the small problems. And each smaller problem you fix makes you feel better, makes you stronger, gives you some experience at problem solving, and gives you, you find who can help you and where you can get help, and then eventually when you're stronger and you've got rid of the little ones, you can deal with the big one. Uh, the third thing that the Metal Fix It app instant report tells you is which medicines are most likely to help your combination of problems. And the fourth thing that the uh, uh, instant report of the Mental Fix It app tells you is a graph of your total scores. Each time you do the check, and you should do it often, the app adds up the scores for all of your problems to give you a total score, and it puts that total score in a graph. And if you are getting the right treatment, your graph should be getting better, so that you can instantly see in this instant report whether you're getting better or not. If you're getting better, that's great. Keep on with the treatment that you're on. If you're not getting better, then you'd better think again and talk to your doctor or your counselor or whoever, or watch some more videos and change the treatment so that you do get better. Well, I've got a health problem of my own at the moment, a physical health problem. Well, a couple of them. When you get into your 80s, these things happen. So I've got to stop now. And today is Friday, so tomorrow I'll be back at 9 o'clock, back at 7 p.m. on Saturday and 9 a.m. on Sunday. I am very interested to hear what you think. I can't talk to everyone because we get thousands of viewers, but if you send your comments, questions, criticisms through the platform that you watch this live streaming on, whether it's TikTok or YouTube Shorts or Facebook or Instagram, just send me your comments, questions and criticisms, and I will respond to them. Or you can email me. I always respond to emails. My email for that particular thing is spelt how it sounds, healthestuff@gmail.com, healthestuff@gmail.com. And if you can't remember that, just look at the website smilefixit.com and you'll find the email address there. Okay, thank you for watching. Bye.